Okay, with the drawer removed out of the pizza oven, you're going to need to do a conversion on the orifices. You're going to need a Phillips screwdriver, a 7/16 socket, and a ratchet. First thing you're going to do is go ahead and take the screw on the pilot shield. You got a good shot at that. Remove that. Set it down carefully. There are two screws in here that have to be loosened up so that you'll be able to move this up and down in order to remove this burner that's in here. Now, you gotta be careful when you take those screws out, you don't lose them, because they'll fall inside here, and then you gotta take the front light panel off to get to it, if that does happen to you. And there's a thermocouple that normally the line could possibly be right over the top of the screw, so you may have to bend the thermocouple tubing just a little bit out of the way so that you can get your screwdriver in there. You'll have to put your head in here so you can see the screws for the pilot assembly. And so now that will be loose, so you can move it up and down. Then there's the sockets over here. And then this one of the reasons why you had to move this is because it'd be right in the way to get to that screw. But even with an open and wrench, it wouldn't work if you can get to it, because you got to lift this burner out. So that's why you do have to make sure you remove that too. All right, now you're gonna pick up on this, kind of lift up a little bit on the pilot, and you're going to lift up and slide it off the orifice like that. Set it aside, don't drop it. There's the orifice right there. All you need is to get a 1/2-inch socket here, and then we're going to go ahead and take that off and put the other one in place. All right, we've got the new orifice on there. Use a 1/2-inch deep socket and screw that back on. You can see now that's done. It's in place. Then you put everything back on this. When you go to button this back up, this here bracket on here, on the bottom there are two holes, front to back here. Make sure that you have this slid over to where you're at the very farthest away holes, because when you go to put this shield on, this hole here will not line up because it's too far this way, because you put it on the wrong hole. So just make sure that, like I said, you'll slide this forward enough to where you'll line it up. And like I said, down here, look at the bracket. There's two holes on each side, and you want the furthest away from you, the farthest one that you'll mount it on, so it'll be like that. And that way you'll be able to get your hole lined up. So if you run into that when you put the shield on, you find that, hey, where's the hole? That's because you got this put in wrong. Not on purpose, but you got to put in. Okay, one thing you want to make sure you don't spend a lot of time doing is that on the pilot cover that went over the pilot assembly, you don't put that on, and you don't tighten down the two bolts that hold the pilot assembly in place until everything is put back together, because you will not be able to get that one bolt that's right here on the side wall in place without doing that. So make sure you get that done, and that'll be the last thing, is tightening down the pilot assembly.